26th of August 1071, a day that will be remembered as the Battle of Manzikert. But why was this battle so important? And, most importantly, how did we get here? Just 50 years ago Basil was alive and we were teabagging on the bodies of the Bulgarians and the Fatimids. This video will be split in two parts, the first about the decline after Basil and the second about the battle itself. So where were we? Ah yes, Constantine VIII, also known as the party animal, came to the throne. The way he ruled was very simple. He blinded everyone he thought was gonna make a move against him. When the Croatians saw this, they became vassals. Oh wait, that's Basil's script. I meant to say that they left the empire. The party guy died on 1028 without an heir. But he had 3 daughters, of which 2 matter, Zoe and Theodora. A bit before he died though, he named the Duke of Antioch Constantine Thalassinos as his successor, so naturally he started the journey to Constantinople to marry Zoe and become emperor. But the advisors had other plans. Guys, this guy is actually competent. What do you mean? That he is going to control us instead of the opposite. Right, but he's already on the way. What will we do? We will put the blame on the mailman, saying the letter went to the wrong address. You're a freaking genius. Before Constantine had the time to reach the capital, they had already changed their minds and chose Romanos, who married Zoe and became Romanos III. He thought he would be a great philosopher like Marcus Aurelius and a great general like Trajan. Of course, in reality he wasn't even close to either. We're talking about the most delusional person of the empire. In 1030 he attacked Aleppo for no reason and lost a battle. He had a 10-1 numerical advantage. No doubt this is the next Julius Caesar we're talking about here. Meanwhile, Zoe fell in love with the servant of the palace, Michael, and her sister Theodora tried to murder Romanos. In 1034 Michael poured some of the good wine in the glass of Romanos, you know, the ones with the rat poison inside, and Romanos of course died. In the words of his idol Marcus Aurelius, the culprit is always the butler. Literally the next day Zoe and Michael asked the patriarch to marry them. He initially refused, but with enough gold pieces he changed his mind quickly. The new emperor was now Michael IV. Immediately they started revolting in Nicopolis, Antioch and of course Bulgaria. Who would have thought?
What the fuck is this piece of shit?
The Serbs quietly left the empire, but to get some land back he decided to choose one of the best generals of the time to lead the reconquest of Sicily. George Maniakis. He was accompanied by the leader of the Varangian Guard and the future king of Norway, Harald Hardrada, and Admiral Stephanos. He didn't do shit and got in through his connections with the palace. The campaign was going really well. Town after town was surrendering to him, beating the Arabs at Etna and capturing Syracuse. One story I like about this campaign goes as follows. The army was besieging a city with high defenses, but Harald had a 200 IQ idea. He noticed that in the day the birds were flying out of the castle to feed on the land and then went back in. He then ordered the men to gather as many as they could. He tied on their backs a piece of wood with tar, wax and sulfur and set them on fire. Instinctively, the birds flew back to their nests in the castle, starting small fires. The small fires became bigger and the city burned. After that, of course, they opened the gates and the citizens surrendered. But then a letter arrived for Maniakis, recalling him back to Constantinople. Why? Because Stephanos and him had a fight and he threw a tantrum, asking the palace to send him back. Maniakis returned and was jailed. Stephanos took his place and he managed to reconquer all of Sicily in 2 years. Fuck no. The Norman mercenaries took advantage of the chaos and revolted. The campaign failed quickly after that. Michael had epilepsy, which made him paralyzed. He also suffered from edema, making his legs gangrenous. Don't look that up, trust me.
It's time to stop!
Despite that, he himself went to combat the Bulgarians. And crazy story, he actually won, killing the wannabe Bulgarian emperor. Of course it was obvious he was gonna die. His wife, locked up for a while now, begged to see him for one last time, but he refused. Wait a second. Go back. Who the fuck is that guy? Ah, of course, I forgot to talk about the key character, the brother of Michael and the person high up in the imperial court, like a prime minister. Of course, always pushing his self-interests. He was the person that gave power to people like Stephanos, dismissing good commanders and jailing others. He was the one that recalled Maniakis, which resulted in the failure of the Sicilian reconquest. He was the one that gave the emperor poison so he would die. And he was the one that locked up Zoe so he could influence Michael all he wanted. John the Eunuch, one of the most slimy people in the history of the Byzantine Empire. He made sure that his nephew Michael would take the throne after the death of the emperor. But fate had other plans. When Michael V ascended, he exiled both him and Zoe. On top of that, he ordered his soldiers to blind him, just to make sure. After that, realizing it was a mistake to lock up Maniakis, he set him free and sent him to southern Italy to combat the mercenaries, limiting their barbarity to their mud huts. Back in Constantinople, it looks like the choice to send Zoe away was one he was gonna regret. Look here, you pleb, look how many people gathered to see me. Makes sense. I'm their beloved emperor after all. Sir, they're holding torches and pitchforks. Guards, help! The people wanted Zoe back, so they stormed the palace, killing anyone they could find, with 3,000 people dying on both sides. Michael was then exiled to a monastery and Zoe with Theodora became empresses. The two would fight and be jealous of one another, until Zoe married Constantine, now Constantine IX, Monomachos. Monomachos means gladiator, but don't get it twisted, this was just his last name. Constantine also brought with him his mistress, Maria Sclyrena, and poor Zoe had no choice but to accept. Of course the situation was kinda confusing since the three of them would share the same bed. Oh come on, we're trying to sleep! Hey, come on, it's not my fault Maria threw a tantrum because she landed on my boardwalk space. And technically there was one emperor and three empresses on the throne. But let's see what he did. Ah yes, he annexed Armenia, something that brought them in contact with the Seljuk Turks. And my blood is already boiling. He was also very wasteful. One time he gave an Arab 2 tons of gold just because he could. But let's go back to southern Italy to see what Maniakis is doing. Ah yes, another person with connections, this time the brother of Maria Sclyrena, Romanos. He and Maniakis had a fight, reaching the point where he burned his estates in Asia Minor and his wife. For the second time he was recalled back to the capital, but now he was enraged. This was the last straw. So he proclaimed himself emperor. With recruits from the nearby villages he marched to Constantinople to depose Constantine, with the emperor sending his own plebeian army to counter him. The two met near Amphipolis, with Maniakis' army winning easily. However, while he was chasing the retreating enemy, Maniakis died suddenly, so lucky bastard Constantine kept his throne. The rebels would be captured and paraded on the hippodrome while they sat on horses, with the severed head of Maniakis in the front attached to a spear. Finally, of course, in 1054 we also had the permanent schism of the East and West churches. The reasons for this are too many to get into here, so we'll leave that for another video. Or, you know, never. Constantine died on 1055 and with Zoe dead for a while now, Theodora ascended to the throne. Problem was she was 76, so she had to choose someone else. The senators chose Michael VI Bringas because, and I quote, he was less qualified to rule than he was to be ruled and directed by others. And they were right. It only took a year for Isaac Komnenos to rise up and force Bringas to give him the position. Isaac had in front of him a monumental task. The previous emperors were all pretty much incompetent, with the treasury being empty because they were giving money away left and right in exchange for support from the elites. The emperor became stricter with tax collecting, took back land that was given out like candy, especially from the church, and did a pay cut for the Senate. With these reforms, the empire had some sort of stability again. But that wouldn't last long. While on the hunt, Isaac got sick and thought he would die. He then made the biggest mistake of his life, choosing to make emperor a person that was the literal reincarnation of Phocas from the days of Heraclius. Constantine Doukas now ruled the empire. I wonder whose plan was that? Ah yes, of course it was Satan and his lackeys the Praetorian Guard, naturally. He placed his family in positions of power, swapped the loyal army for paid mercenaries, gave money away to the church and the people of the palace, disbanded the 50,000 strong Armenian army that kept the Seljuks at bay, rolled back Isaac's reforms, and raised taxes. And the borders? Ha! Sir, I have with me a list of everyone raiding us. The Normans took almost all our holdings in Italy, the Seljuks Armenia, other Turkic tribes the Balkans, and the Hungarians took Belgrade.
Bab, amazing. Ice cream so good. Ugh.
But thank God he decided to be useful for once and fucking croaked. But before he did, he made a deal with his wife for his sons to rise to the throne. Thankfully, she didn't listen and married the talented general. His name? Romanos IV. Diogenes.
Might be the type to bravely head into the fray. Dark clouds unfurled are now descending on our bright blue world. A hero needs to rise, and I can see that hero in your eyes. Carry on the dreams you believe are true, and defend the friends who believe.